Hello and welcome back to Clownfish TV. It is me, Geeky Sparkles, and today it is only me because Neon is out doing something else. So today we're going to talk about Gina Carano. If you followed this channel, I've been saying the same stuff about Gina Carano the entire time. It's been absolute crap about what happened to her. So if you're not familiar, she is in a lawsuit with Disney over her, firing and the fact they were calling her abhorrent. The fact they were going to do another show with her, they canceled. So she feels like she lost gigs. They took her away from being Cara Dune in Star Wars and everything else over arguably political posts. Meanwhile, you have people like Rachel Zegler out there saying, free Palestine and she, F Trump and all that. And that's okay. And Pedro Pascal and, Mark Hamill and Mark Ruffalo are all out there constantly being political. But it's okay when they do it. They weren't fired. They didn't receive any punishment for doing so. So now Gina Carano put a post up yesterday talking about Disney and how Disney is being told to provide documentation that they are not providing. So before we get into it any further, please like and subscribe. If you do, I will give you a woohoo. And we're going to talk about this. So those of you who don't know what's going on, Gina Carano is suing Disney and Lucasfilm of a wrongful firing from The Mandalorian. Elon Musk's paying for the legal team to do it. Disney called her abhorrent and things like that. And when they fired her, she talks about how she spent years building up reputation, and now reputation's kind of been damaged, been tainted a little bit because of Disney's, firing, which was probably politically motivated, in my opinion, because everybody else who talks about politics, if it leans left, are completely left alone. She was the one person who kind of took a little bit towards the right political stance, and I think honestly she's more in the middle than anything, but she took a more of a stance on the right. And what she said that got her fired for was that she said that about the Holocaust, about Jews are beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. Because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is this any different from hating someone for their political views? She never said which side. She just said, it's a dangerous tale that happened before, that if you hate people based on something like religion or political views or race or whatever, that you're taught to hate those people, it's going to make it easier for you to allow bad things to happen. Okay, for example, anybody who doesn't like Star Wars is a bigot, misogynist, racist, Nazi. Like that, because rational people wouldn't just make that assumption. But irrational people automatically jump to those conclusions based on, what they've been taught and how they've been pickled. Her point is valid. Her point was historically accurate. Other celebrities have since said similar things, and they did not receive any punishment for it at all. That was why she got fired. Prior to that, she spent months getting dogged on and harassed because she wouldn't put pronouns in her bio. People decided that the character of Cara Dune was trans representation, even though Cara Dune was never listed as being trans. And because of that, they insisted that the actress who played the character had to show support for them, because Pedro Pascal did. She commented, said, Pedro told her why, understood why people put them in their bios. I didn't know before. I won't be putting them in my bio, but good for all of you choose to. I stand against bullying, especially the most vulnerable, and freedom to choose. She basically said, I don't feel comfortable putting it in my bio, but if you do, I support you for doing that, and I still stand by you, is what she basically said. And what do you think reaction she got for that? You're a transphobic hag, only openly transphobic and passive-aggressive racist, transphobic piece of trash, etc., etc. Months of this, and Disney said nothing. But when, Christina Ariel had trouble, Disney's Star Wars account spoke out against it. When they had the, Moses Ingram, I think Moses Ingram character, Reva, Star Wars, social media stood out against them and said, you shouldn't be racist. We are against it. But when she had trouble, it sounds like, from what I've heard, that people at Lucasfilm were possibly actively working together to try to get her removed, which would come out in Discovery. Now we're going to go back to what we're going to talk about. So she sued Disney. Disney tried to get it dismissed. They failed to get it dismissed. So now Disney is supposed to turn over documentation. I believe documentation is in relation to, payment for like what they pay actors and stuff, because they're trying to figure out what her damages would be and get a sum ready for the hearing. They are refusing to do it. And we're talking months of them stalling out, which is a typical Disney tactic from my understanding. We've talked about it before. What they do is they try to stall you to run you out of money. Good luck, because Musk is paying for it, or to stall as long as possible to try to, get things dismissed, to push things back to cause people problems. Because the longer they keep her stalled out, the more it's going to be that they don't have to pay her, and the longer they have to wait, and then the less likely she is to get a resolution. So they're just going to keep dragging it. So she posted on Twitter the following. I'll take you to their tweet. It's been 8 months since my lawyers at Schaefer, is it Jaffe and Shire? I don't know. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. First requested basic documents and information from Disney that my damages expert needs to properly evaluate the financial harm I have suffered because of Disney's unlawful firing of me. The information requested is commonly sought in cases such as mine. Yes, you need that information to make a determination of what damages to sue for. Throughout this case, Disney Lucasfilm have deflected and stalled in providing even basic information. Not surprised. My lawyers have gone above and beyond, being persistent and consistent in their requests and cooperating where need be, which is well documented. I'm sure it is. As a result of Disney's dragging its feet, my trial date has now been moved from this September to next February. It's such a punch in the gut for an artist, but I remain positive about the future. She seems like a very positive person that always tries to look for the silver lining as much as she can. And she seems like a very, very sweet person. And I don't understand why they give her so much trouble. My lawyers have now had to go to the extent of filing a motion to compel, filed yesterday, April 2nd, so the day before yesterday. This motion is being filed to involve the court to demand Disney provide information to which my team is clearly entitled. Yeah, so they're basically filing a motion that the courts would make Disney do what they were supposed to do months ago. If you did this to Disney, I can only imagine what shit you'd get for not doing what they wanted you to do, but it's okay when they do it. As if there was ever any doubt, even the Hollywood press is noting how I was treated unfairly when looking at how Disney has treated other actors. Disney's discrimination is plain as day. Maybe that is why they are delaying providing the proof sitting right in their files. Yeah, and if it goes on past that, it's going to go to discovery, and it's probably going to be like, well, what was being done? Was there a targeted effort amongst people at Lucasfilm to cause Carano problems, et cetera, and they're going to want to delay that as long as possible. This case goes far beyond me. It's not just for people who agree or disagree with everything or even anything I've said. That's true. You can believe someone is treated unfairly and not always agree with them. Like a lot of what Gina Carano has said in the past, I've agreed with, and there are some things I haven't. But I still think it was wrong what they did. Just even filing this case has forced Disney to check themselves, and I believe it's already helped to protect others, likely. As always, thank you dearly for your continued support. I'm sure they're going to put all kinds of things in place to cover their butts in the future. Now, that might not necessarily help actors. They probably will put like clauses in that, when pushed, Disney will somehow miraculously win at all times. But I do agree that press is noticing. It's not just the Hollywood press, people in general, because it's weird that Zegler was allowed to say what she said. She's the most recent example. But we have talked at length about other actors being allowed to say what they want, but she's not. And she didn't even say anything that was bad, really. It was just an honest, point that even National Geographic, which is owned by Disney, talked about the Holocaust and made a similar point in their article just last January 2024. And it's not hard to notice this. And here's the thing. People are going to start to realize that it makes Disney look very guilty. Like if Disney has nothing to hide and they're innocent, and it was because, Gina Carano was a terrible person and everything they said, and abhorrent and everything they said. Why not give her the information she needs to go to court? Because you're going to win. You're going to easily win if it didn't happen. If people at Lucasfilm didn't actively, try to cause her problems, if they didn't listen to the social media, if there wasn't, an issue inside the company to cause her to be fired, then so what if she gets this information? You're going to win anyway, right? The fact that you're stalling it out just makes you look more guilty. And I wonder if there was more of a public push, if they would do something like we saw with the wrongful death at Disney Springs with that doctor for for having the food allergy. And in that case, I would even argue Disney really wasn't liable for that one because they rented a space to that restaurant. They didn't own the restaurant. It wasn't really their fault, but their behavior, like if you sign up for Disney Plus, you're never allowed to sue us. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to slip that into actors' clauses in the future. If you worked for us, you're never allowed to sue us. Or if you agree to this contract, you can never sue us, because it's not going to hold up in court, but they're going to still try to do it to stall out. It just makes them look very, very guilty, because in this case, it is directly related to them. And public opinion got them to cave on the other case. So maybe public opinion could get them to cave on this one. I don't know. But we actually there's a link here to the actual document. If you got the piratesandprincesses.net, I have the article up there with this link in it. This is the motion to compel. And you can see it on there. Yeah, it says on here, defendants declined to produce the contracts they were told to do. Defendants also have consistently refused to produce information regarding budget and net and gross profit information for the Star Wars projects addressed in the remaining requests. The issues are thus fully vetted and ripe for resolution. Finally, defendants have produced little even where the parties agree. Without more, there can be no depositions, expert discovery. That's what they want. Dispositive motions or trial. That's what they want. Plaintiff has repeatedly and in good faith accommodated defendants' demands, and that she narrow her request, extend time frames for responding, and explain their request purpose and scope, as shown by the fact that only 6 requests remain in dispute. But enough is enough. To allow this case to proceed, the court should compel defendants to satisfy their discovery obligations. They're deliberately stalling. Why? And they've given some of the information, but not on others. Why? Again, Disney, this does not make you look innocent. This makes you look very, very guilty. Very guilty. So you really, really need to move on with this. You just rip the Band-Aid off, do what you need to do, get it over with. Right now is perfect time. People are already pissed at you over Snow White. They're already, you have Epic Universe coming. So now, now's a good time to just get it over with all at once. It's like if you're going to have something done, like you're going to have, shots, it's better to, you might want to get all 3 of your shots at once instead of just coming back every other week and prolonging it. If you're allowed to do it, just do it all at once. Be done with it. But no, the fact that you're stalling makes it look very suspicious, makes it look like you're hiding something. This is absolute bullcrap. And you're just turning more and more people against you the side with Gina Carano at this point, because they're like, yeah, this is weird. And like she said, Hollywood news outlets are starting to notice and calling it out as well. So more and more people are going to start being like, yeah, maybe there's more to this. Anyway, what do you think? Please comment, like, and subscribe, and I will talk to you later. Bye.